Hi guys, so this is Rahul again. Some interesting things happening in tennis, and this video is going to be about what I think about the disgusting media coverage of Novak Djokovic over this Olympics season and in general over his whole career, where Novak has kind of been, in my opinion, unfairly treated by the media. Um, and I'll go into what that means and some examples I have that clearly show that. I think anyone who's objectively looking at this stuff can see that, compared to his two biggest rivals, compared to a lot of people, not just his two biggest rivals in Federer and Nadal, but as well as many of the next gen players, many players in the past. You can really see a pattern emerging where Djokovic, you know, has really gotten the rough end of the stick when it comes to the media. So I will talk about that a little bit. Um, so yeah, let's get started. So during this Olympics, Tokyo Olympics 2021, so obviously Novak was asked a question by the media about a pressure basically, and how tough it is for players to deal with the pressure. And he referenced the Simone Biles story of how Simone Biles, of course, did not play for Team USA in that match and withdrew early. And so they asked Novak Djokovic about how, basically in a general statement, how important it is to deal with the pressure. Novak said something like pressure is a privilege. It's important to deal with it and manage it appropriately. And a lot of people thought that he was kind of taking shots at Simone Biles and was kind of making fun of her or kind of demeaning her. I just feel like this is such a smear by the media. It's an absolute smear because he didn't even mention her in his statement. He never mentioned her. He never talked about her. He never said anything with her name in it. And he said was that it's important that players learn how to deal with the pressure. He could have been talking about anyone. He could have been talking about the next gen. He could have been talking about so many different situations, but suddenly they all go and say, "Oh, Simone Biles is what he's talking about," and let's all go and just criticize him for his comments on Simone Biles and everything, So I just find that extremely disgusting. It's but I've seen it before. I've seen it before with Djokovic. I've seen him get unfairly criticized by the media in ways that I don't like. I feel like I don't know why he gets the short end of the stick time and time and time again by the media. An example I can give you guys is the PPTA, where he's setting up something in order to really help the lower ranked players, and everyone just doesn't give it a chance. They just want, honestly, they just want the status quo to remain the same. The status quo, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, but tennis has been an extremely unequal sport in terms of prize money, in terms of the way players are getting paid in these tournaments or being able to make the draws of these tournaments. A lot of the lower ranked players, they're not able to get through the qualifiers and be able to afford everything that goes into being a professional tennis player. And many at the top in tennis are getting prize monies that are far exceeds maybe what they should be getting. And I like that Djokovic is sort of trying to make it a more even playing field so that people can actually try to make tennis a career for themselves. How wonderful it would be if more people were able to play our great sport and participate in it and add to it with their value. I mean, I'm a big Federer fan, but Federer has never done anything to support lower ranked players. He's never talked about it, never will talk about it, probably because of who he is and what he believes in and all those things. I mean, Federer is so diplomatic, but he's smug. He won't talk about these things. Nadal probably won't talk about these things either, and that's what I like about Djokovic. Djokovic is shining a light on these issues that a lot of people don't like. A lot of people want the system to remain the way it is, and Novak is saying no. You know, I also feel like, there have been so many moments in the past where, Federer and Nadal have made comments that were kind of brushed aside by the media or not talked about at all. And I would consider those comments, equally as damaging to to their careers if Novak, if they were anything like Novak Djokovic. So like one example I can give you guys is when Federer made a comment about Djokovic in the 2009 Australian Open, calling him a joke for retiring in the heat, and then in the 2011 U.S. Open, where after he lost that, of course, that heartbreaking semifinals where he had match points, he basically alluded to Djokovic as a player who didn't believe in winning anymore, basically calling him super mentally weak. The guy who basically lost 2 matches the entire year. I mean, it doesn't get more arrogant than that, if you ask me. And nobody pressed him on it. Nobody ever pressed him on it. If Djokovic was in his shoes, everybody would be pressing him on it. Are you kidding me? Everybody would be complaining, oh, Novak said this, Novak said that, Novak should be criticized to the ends of the earth. It's disgusting. It's horrible, it's disgusting, it should never happen again. But of course, I mean, it's going to constantly happen until Novak retires, and I'm sick of it. I mean, I feel like he should be respected more as the champion that he is, and he's not getting that. Another example I can give with Nadal. Nadal keeps talking about how Djokovic is obsessed with the Grand Slam count, but that's exactly what Nadal does all the time. He goes out there and fights like hell, and he looks like he puts every ounce of energy he has into every single shot. If that's not a guy who wants the big titles and isn't obsessed about the big titles, then I don't know what is. I mean, he's as obsessed about the big tournaments, the Grand Slams, as anyone, So I'm not going to buy this bullshit that, it's only Djokovic who's obsessed about the Grand Slam count, and all these other people are just acting like they don't care about. Of course they care about it. You think Federer was not obsessed with breaking Pete Sampras's record in 2009 when he, before he won that French Open, of course? You don't think Federer was like, I want to break that record, I want to do everything. Of course he was. He just doesn't say it because he wants to be politically correct. That's all it is, And Nadal just wants to be the perpetually humble tennis player, the perpetually humble champion that is supposed to be free of any kind of ambition or it's complete bullshit. I mean, everybody knows that all of these big three, they want to win super badly. They want to get the highest Grand Slam count. They do, and if they're not telling you that, they're just lying to you. So it is what it is. I mean, Federer might never talk about it, but of course he wants to have the highest Grand Slam count. That's why he's still playing tennis. If he didn't want that, why would he still be playing tennis? He would still be he would not be playing tennis. He's achieved everything in the sport. He would have retired if he didn't want to to contend for more Grand Slam titles and didn't want to try to win more big tournaments, right? If Nadal didn't want to get the all-time Grand Slam record and be obsessed about it, why does he compete the way he still does at the French Open? Why did he skip Wimbledon in order to do hopefully well at the U.S. Open, where one of the Grand Slams outside Roland Garros that he's done really well at? So I mean, I don't buy it at all. Nobody should buy all this. It's all bullshit. all these players saying that, oh, the Grand Slam record. Now you shouldn't judge me by the Grand Slam record. Now that I don't seem to be the one to be the leader in the Grand Slam tally, please don't judge me for my lack of being able to have the highest Grand Slam tally count. It's ridiculous, and the media gives Federer and Nadal constant passes on everything. They always criticize Djokovic. They criticized him for the PPTA. They criticized him for the Adria Cup. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm a human being. He's a human being. Roger Federer is a human being. Nadal is a human being. The next gen are all human beings, of course. It's okay to make mistakes. Just because somebody is making a mistake in a different way than somebody else doesn't mean that somebody else should be criticized more. Sure, I mean, Djokovic is tapping into things that Federer and Nadal want to stay away from, but he shouldn't be criticized for that. I mean, that doesn't seem fair to me at all. I mean, how much they criticized him for the Adria Tour. I mean, he wanted to put on an event that was special during the time of COVID, so that he could get the whole tennis community to watch some tennis and participate in some tennis. And sure, I mean, I've criticized Djokovic many times. I've felt the anger that people have felt towards Djokovic. Being a Federer fan, especially, where his father constantly makes remarks about Federer and Nadal, especially Federer, where his father is obsessed with Federer. He can't get enough of Roger Federer and just hoping bad things on Roger Federer. So I'll criticize Novak Djokovic all day long. I mean, don't get me wrong. But in this area, you have to be fair. You have to be fair, and you have to say that Djokovic is being unfairly criticized by the media. It's been happening repeatedly. There's a pattern of it. Every infraction is criticized, exponentially than it needs to be. And it's just unfair journalism, and I would hit out to all the journalists who are doing this to check themselves and to be fair in their criticisms. Okay, guys, thank you. See you.